Consolidation in the media industry threatens the future of rural broadcasts as major media companies narrow their focus on urban and suburban audiences. RFD-TV's Sarah Mock sits down with Alabama lawmaker looking to protect the rural stake in TV programming.
You just recently introduced the Rural Communications, an amendment to a communications bill that's out right now. Could you talk a little bit about what that bill is and why you thought this was the right moment to introduce it?
Well, we're having a problem in that in the broadcast industry, particularly in cable, and that's where most people are getting their broadcasting now. I mean, some people are using DirecTV and Dish, but cable is still the big broadcaster. They've been consolidating, and we see that in what the result of that in customer service. If you want to get people stirred up, just mention one of the big cable companies and they'll tell you how much they hate them. One of the other things that's coming with that consolidation is they're starting to be more focused on urban and suburban areas and the 18 to 34 demographic, which is where they can get their advertising dollars up. And they're losing sight of the fact that 50% of Americans still live in rural America. And we're important too. So what the cable companies have been doing is getting rid of rural programming, just because people in the city aren't interested in what crop prices are, or what rural development programs are going on, or what rural health care issues are out there. And they don't have an option if you're in rural America to get that programming if the cable companies won't carry it. And so what I'm focused on is telling the cable companies, you can take 99% of your program and devote it to those urban markets if you want to, but you got to give at least 1% of your program dedicated to rural America, and that's what this bill does.
I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what that means for your constituents. Why do you think it's important for them to, whether it's news or markets or weather, why do they need kind of dedicated rural content?
Well, let's say you're in the beef cattle industry. You'd kind of like to know what commodity prices are before you're making investments in your business, and that's what your farm is. I know out west they call it a ranch, in Alabama we call it a farm, even if it's beef. They need that kind of commodity information. Frankly, if you're a row cropper, you need to know weather information, and you know news information, and you also want to know commodity price information. Agriculture is 42% of Alabama's economy. Most people don't think about that. Even the folks that live in Alabama, they don't think about agriculture as having that big an impact. It's huge in my state. It's far and away the biggest, even though people that think about Alabama think about health care, because Birmingham has become a real health care center. Or they'll think about banking, because same thing. Or they'll think about rockets and missile development up in Huntsville. But the truth is, nowhere in the state of Alabama is there anything that competes with agriculture as far as the impact economically on our state. So not just for my district, if you talk to the other members of the congressional delegation, they'd all say the same thing. They have a huge agriculture community that care about this kind of programming, care about rural development and how we can improve that, care about rural health care, how we can improve that. So they want that kind of programming, and they need it in their lives. It's important. These are particularly those who are farmers. It's part of their business to have this knowledge, and I want to make sure they have a right to it. And the rest of the world, if they want to watch the Kardashians, they can have at it, but that's not what my people are interested in.
Representative Rodgers introduced the agricultural